Greetings and salutations, folks. My name is Danny. I took my first ever driving test today, and I want to tell you about it. Hopefully it can help some of you. Firstly, here's a clip of me this morning and how I felt. I am terrified right now. In 2 hours exactly, I will be sitting waiting for my driving test to start. In 1 hour, my instructor will be here for the pre-test lesson thing. I'm going to have 1 hour, or it's going to be just less than an hour because you're supposed to get there early. My heart is pounding, my stomach is churning. I'm so anxious. My skill is all there, but my brain isn't. My overthinking, panicking. What examiner am I going to get? Are they going to be silent? Are they going to frighten me? Am I going to overthink, oh, that was wrong and that was definitely a fail, because you're not supposed to panic about those things? Is there something that I needed more work on that I didn't realise I did? Okay, well, I can only do my best, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and do it. Alright, I need to do my hair, so let's sort this out. So I was pretty damn nervous. I'd watched countless other videos and other people's experiences and what to expect on the test, but it didn't. Well, it did help because I knew what to expect then, but it didn't help my nerves. My test today was at 12:30 and I had 1 hour lesson beforehand, so my instructor picked me up at 11:30. We didn't really have a structure to the lesson, we just sort of drove to the test centre, and by the time I got there, I didn't panic like I did with the theory test. When I got to the theory place and saw how busy it was, I just completely panicked. I even started to cry. I was just awful. But when we got to the test centre, I was I'm not going to say confident, because I wasn't confident at all. I was certain I was going to fail. My skill is fine, but my mental side is not. I was not mentally prepared for this. I was convinced I was going to do something wrong and overthink, and it would be serious. So I was there with my instructor, and we went inside, and we had to wait for the examiners. It's just like a little room. There's not even a reception. There's toilets. And then there's like a do not go in here staff room where all the examiners are. There were 3 other people doing tests at the same time as me, which I hadn't realised, and it made me a little bit anxious because I thought, oh god, we're all going to be competing to leave at the same time or do reverse parks. And then 3 people in the yellow jackets came out, and I thought, oh god, right, let's just get on with this, come on. And they called everybody's name except mine, so the other 3 people had left and I was waiting a bit longer. But I was trying to breathe. It's really, really important to breathe. When you get anxious, you tend to forget and you shallow breaths. It's not good. If you breathe deeper, there is a little sense of relief in there and it helps a little bit. So after a little while, my examiner came out and I was already crapping myself. I was thinking, what was running through my mind was, I really don't want to have one of those examiners that's really silent and a bit scary. I just want somebody that's really chatty and friendly, and when I have a panic or anything, they'll go, oh, it's okay, just this and that. I got sort of a quiet, scary person. Nothing wrong with them. They were a lovely person. Well, I have nothing against them other than the fact that they terrified me. But there's nothing they specifically did that I can explain was the cause of that. They were just quite quiet. There was 1 or 2 instances where they tried to talk to me. The conversation didn't sort of flow and we weren't just chatting. Because it's supposed to obviously distract you while you're driving, and you're not really supposed to chat to them. So in the test centre, the examiner came out, called my name. Oh my god, my heart instantly just went nuts. It was horrible. It was, sorry, I don't want to put you off. Yeah, so my heart was just going crazy. He asked for my licence, and he was really the way he was talking, it terrified me. He was just like, can I have my licence, please? And I didn't understand what was going on. I need things explained to me. Okay, what right, here it is. And then he said, is that your postal address? I was like, yeah. Well, it's not. The address that's on my licence isn't where I'm living right now. This is like my temporary place that I'm living. The place on the licence is my mum's. So, yeah, I just said yes. And they said, sign there. And I was like, right, I'm the type of person that reads forms fully so that I know what I'm signing. It turns out it's the bottom of the sheet where they mark all the minors and everything and the seriouses. So after that paperwork was done, I showed my theory pass certificate as well. Bring that too. You don't need the paper part of your licence because they don't make them anymore, but you do need, well, I don't know if you need actually, but I had it there, and he was like, oh, is that, and he had a look at it. At this point I was just terrified, and he said, do you want your instructor to come with you? And I said no, because it would just be extra pressure for me and more embarrassing when things go wrong. There is a plus side to having your instructor with you though. If you get lots of minors, then they can help you to improve, and they're there to physically see where it is you go wrong, so they can specifically take you back to practice those parts. But I'm at an advanced level, so I knew when I get things wrong what to work on. I could remember it. So the first thing that, in my opinion, went wrong. When you come out of the centre, you stop sort of near the doors. There's like a fence, and on the fence there's number plates, which is for the eye test. So I was sort of prepared for that. Obviously, my eyes are fine anyway. As we left through the door, said bye to my instructor, I was like, oh my God, Jesus Christ. And he was like, who's Jesus? I was like, yeah, I'm really anxious. Sorry. So he's like, follow me, please. And we walked over to those signs, to the number plates. And I was like, what? This is way too close for an eye test. And I was crapping myself then, because we turned around and he said, can you read the number plate of that red Mini? And I was like, oh God. So the sun was sort of in my eyes, read it out. And I was like, right. And he said, M. And I was like, I read it again, and I was like, yeah, M for mother. And he was like, okay. And then I read it again, and I was like, oh my God, no, that's not a V, that's a Y. And I was just terrified. I thought, is that it? Have I failed the eyesight test? Because I can see it, but for some reason, I couldn't register that as being a Y. It looked like a V, but it was like one of those Ys instead of that Y. And I was just, I thought, oh my God, is that already the end of it? Are you serious? He was just like, yeah, he could tell that I could read it. I was just a bit of a div and read it wrong. When we walked over to the car, it was really, really windy today, so I was hoping my show me, tell me questions weren't going to be to open the bonnet. They weren't, luckily. So he said, if you just want to get in the car, your questions are going to be in the car. So I was like, okay, good. Got in the car, and I just tried to breathe as he was taking the details of the car. Oh my God, I was so anxious. Jesus. I'm still anxious thinking about it. And then, there are two questions. You've got to have a show me and then a tell me. So he asked me the show me first. He said, show me how you know the power steering is working. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. Make sure the steering is hard, and then when you turn the engine on, it goes all loose. And I answered it properly though. I didn't answer it like that. And then he said, tell me how you would, something like how you'd fill up the window washer. And that was weird, because that's usually a show me one. You'd open the bonnet and blah, blah, blah. So I explained how the blue cap, you take it off. And I was like, it's under there. And you can see inside it how much there is and whether you need to fill it up. And he was like, where is it? I was like, sorry, under the bonnet, not here, like on the dashboard. And from then on, it was good because you're concentrating on the road, but it's still so terrifying. You think of every little thing that you do wrong, and it tends to snowball in your mind. And it's really important that you don't do that. You don't overthink. As we set off, he's like, turn left out of the test centre. So I turned out there, and our exit is sort of on a nasty hill. So I was there, and you've got to kind of creep up a bit because there's like some sort of factory or something on the same road. So you've got to creep and check on a hill. So it's already quite difficult. But I did it fine. There turns out there was a car coming, so I had to kind of stop on the hill and make sure I was prepared to get off quickly. And I did that fine. I had to turn right at the end there, and then the independent driving was pretty soon after that. So he pulled me over on quite a hill again, and he said, at the traffic lights at the end, turn right, and then follow the signs to this big city centre. Obviously, being a hill, I'm like, right, do not roll back. It's so important you do not roll back, because obviously if there is someone there, that will be a serious. So I was really good with my observations. I look, take off, did the hill, fine. Got to the traffic lights, and there was like a lorry sort of not in his lane properly, so I had to go back. And then my mind was thinking, oh God, he better not hope that I'd squeezed through the lorry and gone in front of him. So already my brain was not shutting up. The signs for the city centre were hidden by trees, so he said something like, can you see which one it is there? And I was like, I think it's the one on the right there, it's a right turning, because I could recognise like the A road that was with it. And he said, yeah. So I was like, okay, got in the right lane, turned right. And then I carried on, and then he said, now I want you to follow the signs to this city centre east. So there were more specific directions there, and there was one quite scary roundabout at this point, but it was relatively empty, so it was good. There was a little bit of hesitation on my part, but not enough for it to be serious. So I was pretty calm at that point. Well, that's a lie. I was not calm at any point. And then it got into really busy city centre, And then he said, follow the signs to the hospital. So it was like, there was so much. And I didn't realise you'd have so many independent parts in one. It's possible. You may get a diagram where it says turn left at the end or turn right at the end. Right or left. What is right? What is left? So I was following the signs to the hospital. So I already knew that he was giving me a really, really difficult route. And I was wondering whether at first I was such an amazing driver, he thought he needs to challenge me. Sorry, I forgot to mention, the first time I knew I had done something really wrong, or my mind had pretty much thought something was really wrong, is when I was on that first big roundabout towards the main city centre, the first part. I was in the correct lane, going the right way, was turning right at first, and then turning left. Something like that, I don't know. But as I was turning left, sort of in our own lane, we didn't really need to go on the roundabout as such. I think I accidentally flicked right on the indicator, so I quickly made sure it was going the right way, and I thought, that's got to be serious, surely. Turns out it wasn't. That wasn't anything. That wasn't even a minor, because I sort of repair things so quickly. It's okay to go wrong. Also worth mentioning, I stalled on that roundabout. I haven't stalled in a long time, not since I was a beginner, but because I was so shaky today. I had a Red Bull, and I do not recommend having a Red Bull on a day, because I thought it would make me more outgoing and confident, but it didn't. It probably made me worse. So yeah, I stalled, but then I tend to verbalise what I'm thinking and my plan. So I was like, right, no, that's fine. Back, clutch, 1, go, done. And it must have been good, because that's how it was, and I didn't inconvenience anybody. So as I was following the signs to the hospital, there was one quite tricky part. Pretty much two roundabouts joined together, so I had to turn right on the first one, and then immediately left. So you have to stay in the middle, then immediately into the left lane to then turn left. And then it was a little bit easier after that, and I didn't have to follow the signs anymore. We just did a bit of sort of normal driving. Then we went onto a really quiet little road, bumpy road, really gravelly and broken, slightly hilly, bumpy. I knew the manoeuvre was going to be on this road. I thought probably turning the road. So he pulled me up on the side, and this point I said, I'm really sorry, I've stopped, bleh. He pulled me up to the side, or he said, pull up somewhere, however it is they phrase it professionally. So I pulled up sort of not far behind this car, and I looked more, and I realised there was a really small side road opposite me. So I thought, no, and I said to him, I'm really sorry, I'm going to move forward a bit because I can see I'm opposite a side road. He said, no, that's fine, just leave it. And at that moment my heart sank, and I knew that I had failed a test, because he would allow me to rectify my mistake at that point. Otherwise, failing, it's just it's fine, you failed, so just don't worry about these little things now. So I was just devastated. And then he asked me to, a bit further down the road, he asked me to parallel park. So I just oh God, nobody parallel parks in real life, because it's just so horrible. But I did it perfectly. I did it, pulled alongside the car, did it like that, and then went straight, then pulled it in, was a perfect distance, didn't hit the curb, and this was on the bumpy, gravelly, hilly road that I was just talking about. I did that perfectly, and it was really weird, and my observations were all perfect, so, okay. And it was sort of at this point that I felt like the test was really dragging on. I felt like I'd been in the car for ages, and I was just wanting to stop. I was starting to think, should I say to him, I really can't cope anymore. I know I failed, so can we just finish it now? But I didn't. I thought I'll just see it through to the end. I might get some more minors and stuff, and be able to work on them all. You can also get an emergency stop. There's about a 1 in 4 chance, I think, of getting an emergency stop in a test. I didn't have one, and I was quite pleased, because it's really uncomfortable. I can do it fine. I've done it fine in lesson, but yeah. As the test went on, then we did even more difficult things. There were some roundabouts that I was dreading getting, and there was a specific right turn from a sort of big road, but a very busy, and a hill, so you can't see that far ahead of you, turning right onto a dual carriageway. So it was a big, fast road, and luckily I have gone down that road once, because it would be really difficult otherwise. I probably would have missed the turning. It's worth mentioning, if you miss a turning, it's fine. If he says follow the signs to this and you've gone the wrong way, you just need to say, I'm really sorry, I know that I've gone the wrong way. As long as you do it safely, it's fine. But if you at the last minute switch into a different lane and then carry on the way they said they wanted you to, that's dangerous. So that's a really bad thing to do. Just go the wrong way if you need to, as long as it's legal, obviously, not in someone's house. There was also an ambulance at one point, and I was dreading getting in emergency services as well because you tend to panic a little bit. But I heard the sirens immediately, looked around and realised I didn't actually have to because there were 3 lanes on where we were. I was in the left lane, they were in the right, so it was fine, they could get through. There were also some times when other drivers were pretty they hindered me quite a lot. When I was at a roundabout and someone was sort of coming, but it turns out they weren't, they were turning off and they didn't indicate. So it's like, I'm panicking now that that's going to be marked as hesitation on my part. But the correct judgment was to wait because they looked like they were coming. So that was a safe thing to do. If you're in doubt, it's really important to wait or to slow down depending on what the situation is. Observations are crucial. So moving out into the road a little bit to go around a parked car, you've got to make sure you check that mirror. I don't know if I'm pointing in the right direction, but you know what I mean. Because there could be someone trying to overtake you. You've got to left turns, right turns, making sure you check those mirrors because it could be like a bicycle or a car overtaking you. Always know what's behind you so you can judge braking. I had another horrible right turn as well in a really busy city centre. It was a box junction as well, but you're allowed to enter a box junction if you're turning right, if your exit's not clear, because it was traffic light controlled anyway. So there was a lot of oncoming traffic, and I was there for a little while and I was thinking, oh god. But then the traffic sort of slowed down and then the lights changed and I was like, fine, cleared, absolutely fine. Towards the end, turning left, pulled into a really, really narrow parked cars on both sides. There's only room for one car to get through. So I went down to second gear. We're on a main road, but then turning into this little road. Went down to second gear, turned into the road, nothing there, fine, looking all around. But then I thought, this is a bad road, I'm going to go slow enough for first. So I slowed down, tried to go into first gear, wouldn't go into first gear, and I started to panic. I was like fumbling with it, and I was like, oh god. And I realised I didn't have the clutch all the way down. So 2 inches down, first gear. I said it out loud as well. I was like, come on Danny, just, right, clutch down, first gear, done. And carried on. But then I thought, that's another bloody serious, because I'm just such a spaz. I can drive fine, but for some reason it really got to me, the overthinking and everything. So how did I do? Holy potatoes! Yeah, I pass. With only 2 minors. You are allowed 15 minors, and I got 2. 0 serious, 0 dangerous. When we got back and we pulled in forwards, just park over there. And I parked and I was like, oh, I'm not sure if this is entirely straight. And then again he said, oh, it's fine, just leave it. So that's another thing in my mind, thinking, oh, I've just got to leave it. That means I've clearly failed because he doesn't care if I straighten up. But all of this was me overthinking, was me thinking and catastrophizing. Is that the word I'm thinking of? In my mind, overthinking, snowballing. The problems that I made, I rectified. When I stalled, I just restarted, first gear, carried on. When other people didn't indicate, I just made sure it was clear and went when it was safe to. I was in the correct lane at all times. I planned ahead. I kept my eye out for speed signs and other signs. If I was unsure of something, I would also say, you did say left here, sorry, wasn't it? He's like, yep. And when we pulled in at the end and he was doing his paperwork, and I was mouthing to my instructor, and I was like, I gave him this look that's like, examiner's writing, and he's like, okay, so you've passed, can you give me a license please? I was like, pardon? I was almost going to say, did you see this and this and this? But he was there, he could see it, and he judged it. He was looking at me a lot, so he clearly saw all those little mistakes I made, but he saw that I rectified them. He saw that I stayed calm. I made the correct decisions, and I was a safe driver. And afterwards, I realised that I was a totally safe driver. I got 2 minors, okay? The first was for control when moving off. And that was because... And you know what? It's so normal. Every time in my lessons, when I go from first to second gear, when I'm taking off, I bring the clutch up just a bit too quickly, and the car kind of stutters just ever so slightly. It's really slight, but it does happen a few times. Totally justified, and I agree with that one. And the second one was control gears. Like I told you towards the end of the test, when I was pulling into that tiny road with the parked cars either side, couldn't get it into first gear, and then I realised clutch down all the way and put it in. That must have been that. And that's it. Everything else was as good as it possibly could have been, and as safe as it possibly could have been. So honestly, if you're watching this and you're going to take a test some point, there is nothing to worry about. I've passed my theory first time, I passed my practical first time, and I am as anxious as it gets. I have panic attacks and I cry really easily, so there is no reason why you can't pass, as long as you're confident enough and you've had the lessons. If your instructor thinks you're good enough, you are good enough. So now I can use my car from this weekend. It'll be insured and everything, and I can think about cool things to put on it. I'm going to put a sunflower, the original sunflower, on my door. I've got ones to put inside. I've got a little one to hang from the mirror. I've got a dancing sunflower to put on the dashboard. The most important thing is to stay calm, and it's easy to say that, obviously. Everyone was telling me all you need to do is relax. Just drive as you have been doing in your lessons. Just pretend you're driving a friend. It's really, really difficult, obviously. So just do the best you can do. Focus on the road, focus on the signs and everything. Think about the car, pretend you are the car. You can do it, honestly. If I can, you really can. I'm a qualified driver. Hi world! I came home, I had a bath as you can see, and had some food. Now what should I do? I don't know. Probably edit this. If you need any advice or you have any questions, do not hesitate to post in the comments, and I will answer your question as best I can, because I know how nerve-wracking it is. I watch so many YouTubers' videos on their driving lessons, fails and passes, and it was really helpful actually, so go and watch as many as you can, because I do find it helpful to pick up those tips. Pop over to my channel as well and check out my gaming videos and my other vlogs. Take care guys, and have a fantastic rest of the day, and I hope you pass your test if that's what you're here for. Hello, 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 hello. Yeah? No? Obviously not.